Hello everybody, I am McCrory, and today we are doing something a little bit different. We're doing a bit of a movie review. I want to kind of do these more often, so I'm doing Joker today. Hopefully I'm going to try and do these kind of things like once a month, just to kind of vary the content a little bit, because I quite fancy doing and talking about movies. So Dr. Sleep is coming out next month, so yeah, expect a Dr. Sleep review in November, and probably a Star Wars one in December, and then so on, you know, whatever comes out in January, February, etc. But today is about Joker, directed by Todd Phillips and starring Joaquin Phoenix in the title role. This is a full spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, go and see it. Come back and then watch this. There are some brilliant parts of this film that I feel like you should not have spoiled before seeing it, so do not ruin it for yourself, please. Now, a bit of background. I am a big DC fan, Batman being a hero that I grew up loving, more so when I experienced the Arkham games. When I started playing these games when I was younger, I became infatuated by Mark Hamill's interpretation of the Joker. I, of course, like a lot of people, also fell in love with Ledger's performance, and was incredibly disappointed with the lackluster first impression of the character that Jared Leto gave us in Suicide Squad. When DC announced they'd be doing a solo Joker movie, I was looking forward to it, obviously, because I was a big fan of the character, but I was even more excited when I heard this was not going to be part of the ever-mixed quality of the DCEU. Joaquin Phoenix was cast, and in 2018 we got our first look at his Joker in a fabulous teaser, which I love so much, even to this day. It's brilliant. We got our first trailer and, yeah, I loved it. And then we got our final trailer, and I thought it was. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be such a good film. Yeah, I loved it. I was very excited going into this film, which is usually quite a worrying thing. You know, don't get your hopes up. You know, you're more likely to be disappointed with the film if you're really excited going in. And I think, you know, I was really hoping that wasn't going to be the case, but I couldn't help but be excited for a film I've been following, you know, the process of for over a year. But I think it is fair to say I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. However, it's not without its problems, which we will get to. First off, the story. I'm a big supporter of the idea that the Joker should not have a definitive origin, and if he did, it should be in the vein of The Killing Joke. However, this did something strikingly different. This is so far removed from general comic book movie expectations that it could be called Arthur, and be entirely about one man with a mental struggle and his path to insanity. This is a fantastic thing though, don't get me wrong. I love Marvel, and I'm partial to DC as well, but what I love most about this movie is that for the first time in a long time we have a comic book movie that feels totally different, and that's a good thing. Endgame is brilliant, Far From Home is great, but Marvel as a whole does feel quite by the numbers when compared to a film like Joker, and that is where I think this movie shines. Saying it's a type of film that doesn't get made anymore is probably the best way of putting it for me. We can't go through a movie review without talking about the actors, and there is obviously one that I really want to talk about. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix, who played Joker or Arthur Fleck in this movie. He made this film what it was. He absolutely smashed it out of the park. He was strangely enough in pretty much every scene of the film as well, even the little flashback sequence where he actually wasn't there. Talking, you know, his mother in a sort of psychiatrist thing, having an interview, talking about, you know, Thomas Wayne and her son and everything. And he's in the background looking on, like as if he's like watching history unfold. So even scenes that he actually wasn't there, the actor, Joaquin Phoenix, is actually there. And I thought that was incredible. That's a lot of work to be in pretty much every scene of a film. The dedication and passion behind the performance was incredible to witness. I honestly could not take my eyes off him every time he was on screen. It is another level of on-screen presence, especially with the laughing condition the character has, which is something I really picked up on as just so clever and brilliant. Clearly taken from real videos and studies of the real life condition to master his performance. If you look at the video online, I will put a little clip in now just to kind of show you. So basically, as you just saw, Joaquin Phoenix is clearly taking inspiration from real life conditions to actually, you know, boost his performance. The performance in the film is almost replicating that condition to a T. It is incredible. Genuinely, truly brilliant stuff. And because people love to compare different interpretations of the Joker, he's at the top for me, but joint with Heath Ledger. I cannot say one of the pair is better than the other. Phoenix plays a Joker at his beginning, the origin, a nervous and unstable Joker. Ledger's was established with gravitas and presence every time he walked into a room. Phoenix had his own movie, whereas Ledger was a main villain of another. It's two different categories that simply cannot be compared to each other, in my opinion. They're both brilliant, they're both spectacular, but in totally different ways. I'll not go into depth with every different actor and character, but in short, Robert De Niro was bloody brilliant. He was not phoning it in the entire movie, he was fantastic. Zazie Beetz was kind of one note, but that's fine, because when you realise the lack of development is because 90% of the scenes that she's in, she actually wasn't there and was just a figment of Arthur's imagination, you kind of get it. And I really, I got it then. I thought, oh, okay, that's fair enough. That's kind of an excuse for not developing her character, because if the more you develop it, the more obvious it would be that she was a figment of his imagination. And that's, yeah. So I quite liked that twist. It was very good. But I'm glad it was that twist, because if it wasn't and that was just bad character development, I would be criticising this film a little bit more. All the other actors in the film, no matter how small the role, all did a decent job and really complimented Phoenix's performance, which is the main thing. Phoenix was the main role of this film, and all the other characters were side characters to his, to Arthur Fleck, to Joker. All the different characters, no matter which actor, they all did fine, but it was all, in effect, to complement Phoenix's performance. Let's talk about a few specific scenes I liked. Okay, so the final act, overall, was brilliant, as many people have talked about. The talk show homage to The Dark Knight Returns was absolutely brilliant, and genuinely the absolute intensity of that scene was on a different level. Arthur going to kill himself, but changing his mind instead, point blank, killing Murray live on air, before going to talk into a camera. A true standout Jokery kind of moment. As was one of the final scenes, waking up on the car, standing up in the centre of his supporters before using the blood from his mouth to paint a crimson red smile onto his face. Gorgeous scene, and another standout for the character in cinema. The scene with Arthur murdering a fellow clown in his apartment with scissors was brutal. Yeah, it really was. But incredible in a way. Truly the Joker, that's the sense I got from it. Seeing the haunting white face, the unfinished makeup, just the white, was haunting, and seeing that get covered in blood as he bashes the man's head against the wall was shocking, but worked wonders within the context of the film. The score was also really well done, suspenseful and outright scary sometimes, splashed between songs such as Smile, Send in the Clowns, and the questionable choice of Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter? I mean, it's fine, but it's fair to say it caught me off guard. As pretty much everyone else has mentioned already, Joker takes clear inspiration from Scorsese movies, The King of Comedy, and Taxi Driver, which in my opinion is fine. Inspiration and homages are great, like De Niro's inclusion as a talk show host. It's fun and it's great for fans of those movies, but it never once felt to me like those movies were being ripped off or cut and pasted into this movie. The film is very violent, as many bloggers and critics have not failed to mention in their reviewing of this film. My response to those comments is, well, I feel they're overused, outdated and pathetic. Chris Stuckman had a brilliant response to this in his spoiler review Joker, talking about how Deadpool 1 and 2, Taxi Driver, and lots of other films have made similar, amounts of violence and brutality, in some cases even more than Joker. The difference is, Joker, unlike Deadpool, doesn't play the deaths for laughs in like a humorous montage. Deadpool's chopping off people's heads and stabbing people and shooting loads of people, and it's funny because they're playing it with humour and it's a different film. But that is, basically, it is more violent. But because Joker portrays its violence as brutal, horrifying, and almost deadly silent, cases, it's acted in a different way. It's no more violent than most R-rated movies nowadays. In fact, it was probably toned down a little bit as well, I'd say. But yeah, unlike Deadpool, the deaths are horrifying to watch and not played for laughs. Shooting Murray live on air, Joker stabbing his ex-boss, smothering his own mother, and even the Waynes being shot were all very shocking and serious moments to watch. However, it's the same debate as always. No matter how violent or shockingly vile a video game or movie is, it cannot be given the complete blame for real-life atrocities. I feel like the media have just stirred this up because, well, it gets the money and clicks. Whatever, I don't care. Joker was a horrible but necessary movie, I feel, and the pathetic media response honestly does not surprise me in the slightest. I'll quickly mention a few things I didn't like about this film, which actually isn't that much, but, I'll go over it anyway. I personally feel the movie had more than it needed to in the end. I feel like it could have ended on one line, and that was, you wouldn't get it. When the Joker's sitting in his psychiatrist session in the prison, and he's thinking about the idea of the Waynes being murdered, and he's laughing to himself, and and she's like, what's the joke? And he says, you wouldn't get it. That would have been a fantastic way to finish it. Instead, we saw the character walk down the corridor, leaving bloody footprints, and running away from guards in a prison in a more sort of slapstick kind of jokery moment, opposed to a serious one. you know, it's one of those things where I feel like the idea of starting and ending the film with psychiatrist sessions would have been a much more poetic way of showing the character development from Arthur the Clown into Joker. But, you know, it doesn't bother me too much. I also felt like the film was a bit of a slow burner, which personally, for me, that's a brilliant thing. I absolutely love this movie, but I feel like if people aren't expecting that, it could cloud their judgment. It's a very brave decision doing something so different with the character, which I believe worked very well. But I can also understand if people did not like this movie as much as I did, because I absolutely love this movie. You know, people giving it an 8 out of 10, that's fine. People giving it a 2 out of 10, that's fine, it's your opinion. You can find different enjoyment out of different movies, but this is ideally the kind of film I really wanted to see when, you know, I heard about a Joker solo film being announced, you know. So for that, Joker's probably in my top 5 movies of all time, you know, that's just on a basis of having a quick think, you know, it might not be, but it's definitely in the top 10. It was traditionally made, gorgeously shot, and wonderfully acted, and I really hope Phoenix joins back with Phillips again to make more of this character, or just their shared filmmaking talent. Joker gets a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Have you seen Joker yet? If not, well, sorry for ruining some of the big parts of the movie, but if you have, let me know in the comments, what did you think about the film and what would you score it out of 10? I'm really interested to know, but do, anyway, the standard YouTube stuff. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, it really does help. Sharing this video around is also one thing I really want to stress, because movie reviews aren't my main form of content and I actually really like doing them. So if you kind of want to see more of this, you know, maybe once a month or maybe twice a month, who knows, please do share this around. It would really mean a lot to me, and I really do appreciate that. Please do subscribe as well with notifications on. We're getting further towards 12,000 subscribers now, which is actually really exciting and great and fun. I've got a Patreon page if you want to support the channel, obviously totally optional, but that's linked in the description, as is my Discord server to talk about the Joker or other comic book movies, TV shows, all that sort of thing, and obviously mainly Doctor Who as well, which is my main form of content. I've also got social media and stuff in the description as well, so you can check that out as well. Anyway, yeah, that's done. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.